Imagine driving alone at night. The road is empty, surrounded by nothing but darkness. You think you know where you are, but with each step forward, the world around you feels more unfamiliar. You're on the phone, seeking help, convinced that the lights of a nearby town are just ahead. And then suddenly, something happens. Your breathing quickens, and in a final moment of fear, you utter two chilling words, "Oh God!" Then, silence. This isn't a scene from a horror movie. It's the last known moment of 19-year-old college student Brandon Swanson, who vanished without a trace while on the phone with his father. What happened that night? How could someone disappear so completely, despite extensive searches? Was it an accident, or something far more sinister? This remains one of the most baffling missing persons cases in U.S. history. Stay with us as we unravel the mystery of Brandon Swanson's disappearance. But before we get into this case, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the next episodes. On May 13, 2008, Brandon Swanson, a 19-year-old college student, was celebrating the end of the academic year with friends. It was a typical evening. There were no reported conflicts, no strange behavior. Around midnight, Brandon decided to drive home to Marshall, Minnesota, getting behind the wheel of his green Chevrolet Lumina. But he never made it home. Around 12:30 a.m., Brandon called his parents, telling them he had driven into a ditch and couldn't get his car out. He wasn't panicked. He was unharmed, the car wasn't damaged, and he decided to leave the vehicle and walk toward the nearby town of Lind, where his parents could pick him up. For 47 minutes, Brandon stayed on the phone with his father, describing his surroundings and trying to navigate his way to safety. Strangely, despite following his directions, his parents couldn't find him. Brandon was certain he could see the lights of Lind and was walking toward them. Then, out of nowhere, he gasped in terror, "Oh God!" And the call cut off. That was the last anyone ever heard from Brandon Swanson. Brandon's parents desperately tried to call him back, but his phone went straight to voicemail. By morning, they reported him missing. However, police initially dismissed their concerns, suggesting Brandon was simply hiding or intoxicated. Hours later, the search finally began. To everyone's surprise, Brandon's car was not near Lind, where he claimed to be. It was found nearly 25 miles away, near the town of Taunton. This meant that Brandon had been completely mistaken about his location. Search dogs tracked his scent for a few miles, leading toward the Yellow Medicine River, where the trail abruptly ended. Had Brandon fallen in? Divers searched extensively, but no body was ever found. Brandon Swanson's disappearance remains a haunting mystery. Over the years, multiple theories have emerged. 1. Accidental drowning. One of the most widely accepted theories is that Brandon unknowingly walked into the Yellow Medicine River and drowned. However, despite extensive searches, his body was never recovered. If he had drowned, why wasn't anything, his clothing, belongings, or even skeletal remains, ever found downstream? 2. Hypothermia and exposure. Another theory suggests that Brandon, lost and disoriented, succumbed to hypothermia. Nighttime temperatures that were cold, and if he had fallen into the water, he could have suffered from hypothermia quickly. He may have wandered further before collapsing in an area that was never searched thoroughly. 3. An encounter gone wrong. Some believe that Brandon may have come across someone with bad intentions. Was he attacked? Kidnapped? His sudden exclamation, "Oh God!" suggests he may have seen something alarming just before the call ended. If this were the case, why was there no evidence of a struggle or any sign of foul play? 4. Mistaken location and optical illusion. A more scientific explanation suggests that Brandon may have been suffering from autokinesis, a visual illusion where lights in the dark appear to move. If he had mistaken distant farm lights for the town of Lind, he may have unknowingly walked further into rural terrain rather than closer to civilization. 5. Intentional disappearance. While highly unlikely, some speculate that Brandon may have deliberately vanished to start a new life. However, those who knew him best argue against this theory. He was a responsible student, had no history of wanting to escape his life, and his panicked last words don't suggest premeditation. 6. The supernatural theory. Some internet sleuths have even suggested a paranormal explanation. Could Brandon have stumbled upon something unexplainable? Was he chased by something unseen? While purely speculative, the eerie circumstances of his final phone call leave room for all kinds of theories. Despite years of searching, not a single trace of Brandon, his body, his belongings, or his phone has ever been found. His phone was never reactivated, and no one has reported credible sightings. In the years following his disappearance, independent investigators and amateur sleuths have attempted to crack the case. Some locals claim to have heard strange noises, shouts, or calls for help near Taunton on the night of May 13, 2008. Others believe that Brandon may have unknowingly wandered onto private land and encountered danger. What makes this case even more unsettling is how wrong Brandon was about his location. Despite being convinced he was near Lind, he was miles away in the opposite direction. His last words still haunt those who have tried to solve the case. "Oh God!" Was it fear, realization, or something else? Brandon's family continues to push for Brandon's Law, a regulation ensuring that missing adults in distress can be searched for immediately, without unnecessary delays by law enforcement. What really happened that night? Why was Brandon so convinced he was somewhere he wasn't? And what did he see in those final moments that made him cry out in fear? His disappearance remains one of America's greatest unsolved mysteries. Maybe one day the truth will come to light. Until then, what do you think happened to Brandon Swanson? Let us know your theories in the comments. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to not miss any of the next episodes, and I'll see you in the next one.